particular event is. All right, guys, so this morning's meeting content is designed to be informative and a little motivation. So if you guys don't like motivational shit, just block it out of your brain. All right, but I like it. First thing I want you to write down on the cover of your paper there is the standards you set for yourself become the life you live. Yes, please. These are last week's. You want the one that's up there. Damien, can you grab some more pens? Actually.
That one isn't like clicking, so.
Damien, can you grab some more pens?
How many?
A handful.
4 or 5, yeah. All right, guys. So, just a couple things I wanted to note because I've talked to a couple of agents who are getting a little frustrated, and I know the beginning sucks. That's one of the things, one of the reasons why I started training other agents, because I struggled a lot, and as I started learning things, I was able to share them and watch other people become successful. For me, once you figure it out, it's obvious. But until you hear that thing, it doesn't unlock it in your brain. So I'm going to give you guys the tools that I learned in the beginning so you guys don't have to struggle. But I really struggled. I made less than $2,000 in my first 6 months. By the end of my first calendar year, I had netted over 99,000 bucks. So that's after the commission for the brokerage. That's not bad. And I think I had started out at like a 25% commission rate. Oh wow! So like, it was a real struggle. Let's see. Over my career, though, I've trained thousands of agents. I've had hundreds of agents on my team. Let's see. I think when you get started as a new agent, your first 3 to 6 months are the absolute most critical time in your career, because if you can't last through those months, you're not going to make it any further. And I see agents oftentimes get started at the wrong brokerage, and the thing is, you run out of runway. Okay, you only have so much money. If you're not making money, you can only last so long, right? You only have so much time that you can commit to something that's just not working, right? And then if you come to me 8 months in or 12 months in, after struggling for that long, you still may not make it. So that's why we designed this course to train new agents from the ground up and teach you guys literally everything that I've learned from being a beginner agent. This is the first time we've done this meeting since the springtime, so I might be a little rusty, but bear with me. But the last time that we did this meeting, the day before we did it, and I wrote it down on here, one of my agents had called me to let me know that he had just closed his first sale, and it was a $5 million sale.
Nice.
That's pretty big. I don't know if anybody wants to do the math on that, but even if he's a buyer side at 2% commission, 2% of $5 million is still some pretty good money. And I also checked, I wanted to check on another agent who I had started working with. He worked part-time. It's 10:45. He started part-time. He worked in a restaurant, barely spoke English. And when I looked him up before I did this last meeting, he had 26 sales listings, over $2 million.
Wow.
Seller side. That's not bad. And this guy like literally barely spoke English. So, looking at things like that, I'm pretty confident just about anybody can do this job. So, today we are going to discuss breaking into the real estate market. I'd like you guys, you have to fill it out now, but could you guys scan this QR code so you just have it on your phone to do the attendance? You guys all get points for showing up to these meetings.
What are the points used for?
I steal them all and I use them for personal things. I just go shopping. I say, hey, I gave this meeting. I took the points from the agents. Can I get a discount here? Yeah. Usually it works out. No, to graduate the Slingshot program, you have to have attended all 5 of the meetings. But I also like to know who's been to these meetings. I know you're not technically a Slingshot agent,
No, I mean the points, like,
but you get points to graduate.
what can I use them for?
Well,
What
you
else?
can exchange them in the store also. I have brownie points. Can I get some free Girl Scout cookies? All right, so when I originally created this meeting, I went online to try to find a similar article or somebody else covering a similar topic. And I found an article on .loop.com called Breaking Into the Luxury Real Estate Market. So I wanted to share with you guys the highline points from that article. I didn't find it very useful, and I didn't think it really compared to the content that I'm going to give you guys, but I thought it would be good for you guys to hear this traditional advice. Number 1, find your niche. So this is your list on page 2 here. Number 1, find your niche. Now, a lot of real estate training will tell you that you need to focus on one thing as a new agent. The problem is you don't know if it's the right thing. So you could be spending all this time and energy on something that's just not going to work. I would advise you to try lots of things, but you can't just try it. You have to really commit to it. So if you're not doing at least half a dozen different things on a regular basis, you're probably not doing the right stuff, right? And also the market changes. So like if you want to focus in the East Village in November, you're not going to close any deals. Right? But if you focus on the East Village in August, you're going to have tons of leads because there are thousands of students right now looking for apartments. You literally walk down the street in the East Village, you will see lines of people lined up outside of the apartments waiting for an open house. Number 2, build a luxury listing presentation. I think this is kind of garbage advice because who are you presenting to and what are you building? What is in your presentation? It's kind of silly advice to me. Number 3, create an experience. As you can tell by this slide, there was another agent I met at an event who really took this to heart. He was the real estate cowboy. Yeehaw. This is very open-ended advice. I don't really understand how you would be creating an experience unless you're literally going to go out dressed as a clown or in costume. Next up, be flexible. So it's probably a good idea to stretch every day so you're very bendy. No, I think most new agents will take pretty much any business that they can get, so you guys all just inherently are flexible because you're hungry and you want to close deals. Next up, be a great communicator. I think one thing that I really press you guys on often is communication skills. Thomas, you know this. Just using language that's clear and concise. And when you guys say something to me that does not make sense, I call you on it because I can't imagine you out there with your clients talking to them saying phrases that just don't make any sense at all. Be responsive. I think this is like a prerequisite to getting into this field. When your phone goes off, you need to check it. It's 2025 and literally almost every single one of you guys is either on your phone at this moment or has your phone laid in front of you. You need to be able to get back to clients quickly. Most people live with their phone on their person. You guys should continue living like that, but prioritize your real estate leads. So getting email notifications, text messages, knowing which ones are urgent and need an immediate reply and which ones can wait. 7, personalize. I don't really know how, this is a silly article. They didn't really give you much information on personalizing. That's all I got on this one. Remember, this is an article of advice that I did not find very useful.
Be a cowboy.
Yeah. Number 8, stay knowledgeable. To new real estate agents, I would advise you to get knowledgeable. Most of you guys spend very little time doing market research. Since I moved to New Jersey, I every day I look at every new listing that hits the market in my neighborhood. Usually it's 1 or 0, so it's very digestible. But when you're newer, that can be tough. I think in the beginner, like chapter 1 of the module training, I give you guys some good tips as to how you can get digestible information. Because if you just do a search on the Upper West Side and you want to look for sales or rentals, you're going to have so many different listings. It's going to be too much to really comprehend and digest. So, but get knowledge will be my advice. Number 9, identify luxury client needs. This is me in my first luxury real estate office, depicted on the slide. That literally is me in my first office before our furniture came. So I have a story about my first time going out and showing a $4,200 luxury apartment in the financial district in like 2012. And I went in and like it knocked my socks off. I was blown away. I was like, oh, fucking the commission is mine. Like this is the easiest deal. This place is sick. And touring the client around the building, she didn't like it. It wasn't what she was looking for. And I was like, well, she's like, oh, I've seen better places. Like this place doesn't even have a rooftop pool. Oh, okay, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, I guess you're right, it doesn't. But it knocked my socks off. But I wasn't familiar with that market, and I didn't understand what that person's needs were. Right? So you need to understand at different price points what people are looking for, and that they're not shopping with your money. Right? $4,200 might seem like an obnoxious amount of money to spend on rent. If you look at like Reddit and Facebook accounts and people talk about how much they're spending on rent in New York City, it's wild. I think last week I talked about a very wealthy girl with a very wealthy family that were moving to New York City, and their rental budget was $2,500. They had assumed that was a very decent amount of money, which probably her parents who bought their house in 1993, their mortgage was probably like $2,500. So they're like, well, for our beautiful mansion, we're spending $2,500 a month. I'm sure in New York City she could find a studio for $2,500. That makes sense. Doesn't translate. So you need to understand what you get at different price points. Piece of advice number 10 from this article is consider leasing. I think that's a great option. In fact, that's usually what we lead with because you can close a rental deal in an afternoon. And I've had many agents close a deal in the first week. I've had an agent or two close a deal on the first day. They just go out, and that's part of our day 1 trainings. You'll go out, you'll take pictures, you'll list it online, and you could get a lead on day 1. It's just, if it exists online, it's going to be, if it's a new listing, it's going to be at the top of anybody's search results. And if you pick up your phone and you can figure out what to say, then you just go back to the place, unlock the door. If they like it, they do the paperwork and you get paid. And rental transactions usually are like done in less than 24 hours. And if once the landlord approves you, they want you to sign that lease because they've taken the apartment off the market. Right? If you're going to take 2 or 3 days to get back to them, they're just going to move on to the next person. So rental transactions are fast. And then lastly about rentals, you have a revolving door of new people that you're meeting on a regular basis. The biggest case I would have, even if you want to get into sales, is that if you're doing rentals, you're meeting new people at a faster rate than you would be doing sales. Stay organized. Guys, I have such anxiety when this meeting ends because I have committed 2.5 hours not checking my email or text messages. When I walk out of here, the first thing I do is tell you guys, if you need help, come see my office, but just wait a few minutes so I can see what's urgent that I need to deal with. My inbox is my to-do list. So before we walked in here, I had about 4 emails in there, right? I see your guys' phones, and by the way, there's like 14 different email accounts, including like junk mail accounts and things like that. There's 4 emails in my inbox. I see you guys' phone, you have 126 unread text messages. 46,000 unread emails. If you get 250 emails today, how are you going to know which ones are important? You've got to get organized. Stay organized or get organized. Ask questions. They didn't really give much direction on this piece of advice, but the more you're at the office, the more questions you can ask. When you're here, you're going to you're gonna hear terms that you were not familiar with before. There's gonna be a lot of information kind of discussed back and forth across this office. And when you hear something that you were formerly not aware of, it's then on you to go figure it out. But if you wanna work from home, you're gonna be learning at a much slower pace than somebody who's working in a real estate office. So ask questions here, and then also ask questions when you're with clients, right? When we talk about rapport building, the more talking someone does, the more they start liking you. Isn't that odd how that works? The more they share with you, somehow the more they like you. Well, we talked about this, I think, last week. We talked about psychology of how that works. There's other piece of advice is sell luxury as a second home, which to me seems like you're really aiming for the moon on this one. I would ask whoever wrote the article, from whom are you selling and to whom are you selling luxury as a second home as a new real estate agent? Next is socialize. So a couple of us went to the event last night, a real estate broker event, and well, I guess the other guys were a little too hungover to be on time. Everybody there was a real estate agent. Okay, not the best opportunity to socialize if you're looking to build your network, because effectively you're just amongst your competition, right? I would try to socialize as much as possible in different groups and different events across New York City that aren't real estate broker events. Obviously go to the broker events too. It's free food, free booze, beautiful luxury buildings. You can build some of your content for social media. The place last night, by the way, had 2 months OP. So if you rent a $5,000 one-bedroom apartment, the landlord pays you $10,000. That's pretty sick. Okay? But if you're socializing, just remember you need to do so outside of just real estate specific events. So you're meeting actual people who can become your clients. 15, work social media sites. A lot of new agents want to open new pages and new accounts for social media. I'm not against that, but just understand that with a fresh account, you have an audience of 0. When I opened the last Instagram account, it said, who do you want to be friends with? Drake, Michelle Obama, or Trump? Like that's not going to be much of an audience for me. They're not. Yet, I have like 4,000 connections or something on LinkedIn already. That's a good network to start with, versus 0 plus Michelle Obama, Trump, and Drake. Right? They're probably not sending me much business my first 6 months. 16, deliver superior customer support. If you poll the general public and ask them what they think of real estate agents, it's probably not raving reviews. Okay, most real estate agents suck, which is why the dropout rate is over 80%. I don't think it's very difficult to be a good real estate agent at all. You just have to do better than everybody else is doing, and most of these guys aren't answering phone calls or emails. Like that's the number one complaint. People are like, yeah, I reached out to 12 agents, heard nothing back. 17, pay attention to detail. Small mistakes can have big consequences. We talk about this with lease signings, when people have their clients sign leases and they miss signatures and initials. You just have to, everything you're doing, it's very difficult to focus in 2025 because you've got notifications going off, you've got people around you talking, you've got a million things in your mind. You just need to focus. Don't make mistakes, okay? Pay attention. Look to new construction, or listen for new construction. Part of the Agent University, we did a chapter on pitching to new developments, to developers. That would be something that you guys should take that class so you can learn how to do that, but there's a lot of opportunity there. For brand new agents though, it's probably going to be a little difficult to get into that right off the bat. 19, dress for the occasion. Every interview I have with an agent, I say, all right, look around the office and just dress nicer. Remember, people develop an opinion of you the moment they see you. The moment somebody lays eyes on you, whether you like it or not, and whether they like it or not, they're judging you. All right? And unfortunately, most people, well, probably fortunately, let me rephrase, fortunately, 80% of our bodies are usually covered in clothing, so try to dress nicely, okay? Because they're going to judge you on 80% of your appearance that way. 20, prepare the listing client. And again, this kind of sounds like a little bit of empty advice, but I will give you my take on this, and it's really all about the psychology of the seller's mind. If you're going to a presentation, you need to be in control of what and how someone is thinking. So, I think this is decent advice, some of it, most of it, I'd say 70%. But a lot of it is missing the key element of specifics. So my intention today is to give you guys actual tactics that you can walk out of here and you know exactly what you're doing. So I want to make sure that you guys are taking very precise notes so that, first off, I'm going to give you guys a lot of stuff. You're not going to remember 90% of it, okay? If you're not taking very good notes, you're not going to be able to remember it, okay? Trust me on this. So take these notes, save this paper, come back to the next meeting that we do of this meeting. Anybody ever watch a movie for the second time and realize they missed parts of it? Mm-hmm. Who's ever read a book and you get like 4 sentences down or 4 lines down, you're like, wait a second, I missed the whole thing. And you go back and read it. Same thing happens here. I'm going to say something that sticks in your brain. I'm going to cover 2 more topics, and your mind will have spiraled in that one direction. You'll miss the rest of it. So point is, take notes what you get today, and then come back so you can do it again. And save this paper. We're going to talk today also about luck and skill. So on the topic of luck, I'd like you to raise your hand if you think there's a very good chance over the course of your lifetime you could win a pretty sizable lottery jackpot. So 2 of you, keep your hands up, have high hopes. 3 of you. What's that?
What if you already did it?
Keep it up, keep it up, no, keep it up, okay? Now I want you to raise your hand if you think there's the slightest possibility of winning the lottery over the course of your lifetime. A slight, less than 1%, less than 0.001%. Okay, you guys aren't keeping your hand up, so this exercise isn't working very well from what I was aiming for. Put your hand up if you actually play the lottery. All right, so the point that I'm making, and had you guys kept your hands up and really actively participated in this exercise, the hands would have dwindled, okay? And the person who thought there was a chance of them winning the lottery, even at the slightest, but took their hand down because they don't play the lottery, is kidding themselves, because there's no chance of you winning the lottery if you don't actually engage, okay? The point that I want to make to you, and I want you guys to write this down on the very bottom, is that luck is the residue of design. Luck is what's left over after the actions that you take. What was the quote I had you guys write down on the standards you said? Carol. But luck only has a chance if you give it a chance. Which means if you guys want to get lucky in this career, you want to get lucky with listings, you're going to have to actually do some of the things that I tell you to do today. If you start acting like a real estate agent, you'll start becoming one. Do you identify yourself as a real estate salesperson?
Yes.
You do?
Of course.
Okay. Do your daily habits reflect that of a real estate salesperson? Do you guys have these questions to fill out? I want you guys to really fill these out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But again, the goal is that you'll be able to look back at this and reflect on this stuff. And I'm not telling you guys to fake it until you make it. I'm just telling you guys that you have to actually engage in the things that real estate agents do if you want to be a real estate agent. Imagine that you identify somebody who's into fitness, but you don't exercise and eat well. Well, pretty soon, no one else around you is going to identify you as somebody who's into fitness because you don't look like it, okay? Or I have a friend who claims to be a writer, but he doesn't have anything that he's ever written. There's a lot of ideas, but that's an ideist, not a writist. A writer.
Right.
He's an ideist, not a writer. So you guys have to be doing those things that real estate agents do. Most of you guys don't work 8 hours a day, okay? Which, by the way, is like the minimum number of hours that you would have to work if you had a regular 9 to 5. Okay? I want you guys to be thinking that you're putting yourself through the real estate doctorate program. Now, what happens when you're studying to become a doctor? Or you're going through the period of residency? How much free time do you have to yourself? How much hanging out? How much Netflix are you watching? None. So my thinking is, and this is what it was like for me as a new agent, I was usually one of the first people in the office, and they didn't give me a key for the first few years. I don't even know if I ever had a key, actually. I was one of the last people out of the office. And then I would go home and sit on the computer and read and study and work. Because I was putting myself through the real estate, my own version of the real estate doctorate program. And that brokerage didn't have any training, which meant that I didn't get to sit in rooms like this where people gave me and shared knowledge with me. I had to go figure it out on my own, which required a lot of work. All right, let's see. Let's talk about some habits of a professional real estate agent. What are some things that people who have a lasting career, so think about somebody who's been in this business for 7 years, or 11 years, 17 years, what are some of the things these people do regularly?
Make phone calls.
Make phone calls.
They get out and talk to people.
They socialize. They study the market. At any professional level in any career, if you're a professional basketball player, football player, you're watching game film of the opposing team. You're doing your research. If you're an attorney, you're going to trial, you literally are spending every waking hour trying to figure out what opposing counsel has and what they're thinking. You guys should know what's going on in the market, and you should know what your competition is doing. What else?
Developing a niche.
Developing a niche. Again, as a new agent, I would not tell you to stick to just one thing, but part of developing a niche is, by the way, I say niche. Who says niche? 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 I think it's a very New York thing to say niche. A lot of people say niche. It drives me nuts. It's like saying tomato. Part of developing a niche is understanding what works for you. And the piece of advice I gave you earlier was try to do everything, not everything, but do a lot of things to figure out what actually does work for you. Thomas, you mentioned phone calls.
Yeah.
A lot of agents are very reluctant to get on the phone. Before you became a real estate agent, like literally week 2, people are like super timid. I'm like, yeah, but 3 weeks ago, before you were an agent, if I asked you what you'd be doing, you would have thought what? Drinking coffee and sitting in a real estate office, or like going out, prospecting, talking to strangers, and calling strangers. It's literally what this job is. I'll read you guys through my list just to speed this up. Stay on top of email, which again, you guys are real estate agents. I walk around this office and see people's phones with that 46,000 notification thing on your emails. Wild. Answer leads and clients immediately. A lot of you guys want to go on vacation and actually like really be on vacation. Sorry, you chose the wrong life, okay? You are not an employee. You don't get to clock out. You're an independent contractor, which means you fucking own your own business. If you own a bodega and you're on vacation and somebody calls you who works at that bodega, you put everything down and go, oh, is the place burning down right now? What's happening? You guys should be treating your clients the same way the bodega owner treats his business. And that's a bodega, right? We're not talking about like a Fortune 500 CEO. Okay, we're talking about a bodega owner. Calling for sale by owners, calling for rent by owners, calling expired listings. Day 1 training for new agents, we talk about rentals. And day 1, people are a little intimidated, right? I send you out and you start going, looking at places. It's a little intimidating, but then it gets comfortable. Then we up the ante and say, okay, now you gotta start making calls. And a lot of people are like very averse to doing that, right? Because it's uncomfortable. But it's always gonna be uncomfortable. Anybody a runner? Anybody like donuts? Okay, you guys are all somewhere in between. I'll tell you the thing about running. If you want to be a great runner, it never gets easier. Okay? In the beginning, you're out of shape. You go for a very slow jog, maybe stop a couple of times to walk. You're out of breath. It's hard work. Next time you go out for a jog, it gets a little easier. But if you're not pushing yourself, the next jog isn't going to be any easier than that one, which means you have to put yourself in a similar level of discomfort on that second jog. And the third jog, you need to be pushing it. And then you get down to a 6-minute mile. But if you want to get better, you have to run harder. So now you get down to a 5:46. Great. You can run a 5:46, you're not that winded at the end. But you're not running any faster unless you continue to put yourself in a place of discomfort. So if you guys are not challenging yourself on a daily basis and doing things that are uncomfortable, you're not going to get better. Follow up with old clients. Following up with old leads. Following up with old friends and acquaintances. All of these people are sources of leads for you. It doesn't mean you need to call your high school friend and say, hey, do you want to buy or sell a home this week? Okay, but they should know what you do and you should be in touch with them. Some of the best real estate agents I know literally know everybody. Like everywhere they go, they're like a celebrity. They're just meeting people all the time. That's what this business is about. What happened when we walked in that place? Oh, you got there after us. We walked in, they're like, oh, Justin and Julio? I was like, I've been out of the game for a little while, but I don't know any of you people. How do you know who I am? Right? But I've been emailing these people for like the last 7 years. And of course they saw my face because it was on the profile picture in my email signature. Which, by the way, probably 60% of you guys don't have an email signature with your face, which is the only other branding you have right now outside of my logo. So if you want to build your own business, you need to be personally branded. Viewing listings in person. I am really big for new agents and going out and previewing listings. I think that's really big. A lot of brokerages don't push that at all. I don't know why. Is it tough work? Yeah. Is it gross and sweaty? Yeah. Right? All summer long it's gross and sweaty, but guess what? I know it's not in the wintertime, but then it's cold and wet. Right? That's also gross. That's what this job is. You gotta get, it's a comfortable office more or less, okay? But comfort isn't going to get you where you need to be. Viewing listings in person, and the next is viewing listings online. All right, at least knowing what's hitting the market. I think that's really important as a real estate agent to know what's hitting the market. Even if you can't, you can see a lot more online than you can see in person. Meet new people. I think Julie said that. Ask for introductions.
What do you mean?
Hey, this is very easily done on LinkedIn, by the way. And we're going to talk in some of the training about, by the way, we haven't gotten to the training yet, so these are just things that like real estate agents should be doing. So ideally you guys are already doing these things, and if you're not, this should be a little eye-opening. But if you're trying to get in touch with somebody who you're not connected with, you could send them a message, but they probably get tons of messages, okay, that they just delete. I literally got like 6 messages from the same person this morning. I answered the first one. They wanted to be a guest on the podcast, which most people, they just kind of spam out these messages to be guests on the podcast. So I said, okay, are they going to join me in person or online? And what is their drink of choice? And most people are like, what do you mean drink of choice? I'm like, well, it's a drinking podcast. It's called Sip Talk, so like do your research. But this morning I woke up with 6 more emails from the same person, and I just deleted them all. Okay. And that's what most people do, is they just look at the email or message and delete it, or don't even open it. So when you ask for an introduction from somebody who they already know, you just rise to the top, and you're probably going to get an answer. Right? But if you just cold message people, well, they're mostly deleting it. Create content. Every opportunity is an opportunity for you guys to create content. You guys could literally be taking a picture of yourself in this meeting and be posting online. Which none of you did, by the way. Thanks a lot. Really hurts. Keeping a schedule. How many, raise your hand, if this meeting is on your calendar? If you have a DeJulio group email address, by the way, it is automatically on your calendar, okay?
It's not my calendar, but it's just something that I know is important for me for my training, so.
Do you have a calendar?
I do, I will put it on the
But this is my point, yeah, you need to be keeping a tight schedule. Paying attention to it. Saved searches. Saved searches. You guys are gonna realize that you get a lot of common price point inquiries. You should have those price points saved, okay? Like for example, a 2-bedroom in the East Village for under $4,000. All summer long, you have students, right? That's their budget. They want $2,000 each. You start a save search, so you see every day every listing that comes online in that price point, right? If you get a lot of voucher inquiries, you should have the price points, the voucher standards saved. So every time one of those listings hits the market, you can call the 94 voucher leads that you had to not turn away, but couldn't help because you had nothing in that price range. Right? Anytime something pops up, you can reach out to every single one of those and say, hey, I just got this place, let me know if you want to see it. Yet, nobody does this. I don't know why. Maybe 3 more. Prospecting, waking up early, and going to the office. I love new agents who want to work from home, right? It's like hiring a personal trainer but not going to the gym. I'm gonna do this one from home, but thank you for your, I'll still pay you for the hour. Very cool. I'll try to put them on the screen for you. Can you make money? Raise your hand if you think you can make money. 2 hands, 2 hands. We have an empty seat down here? Oh, there's one. Okay, show me if you think you believe you can make money. All right, keep your hand up if you're from Philadelphia, Denver, Texas, or DC. Oh, you are? Sure. Where are you from?
Phil.
Okay. Anybody ever get a penny with a P on it? Yeah, the Philadelphia Press. Those are the only 4 places that they actually make money. Okay. The point is, money is earned. You don't get to make money, guys. You have to earn money, which means work. The work comes first. There's a big difference between making and earning. Anybody who's ever had money knows the means in which it was obtained. That's what was given to you, but that also isn't making money. Remember, your earnings will be a direct reflection of the value of your work. So if you work a lot, but it's shit work, you're not gonna make much. Right? And I see a lot of new agents working their asses off, not doing the right stuff, and they make nothing. Right? You could be stuck in the mud or on ice in your car, with your foot all the way down on the gas, the speedometer will read 100 miles an hour, you'll be burning 100 mile an hour's worth of gas, but you're going nowhere. You're not doing the right shit. You're not gonna get anywhere. No one would look at an empty fireplace and say, give me heat, and then I'll give you wood. I see a lot of agents who, before they really commit to this, want to see results. Agents are afraid to share with their network, change their LinkedIn, share on Instagram that they're a real estate agent. They're embarrassed of people seeing them try before they're successful. Right? I mean, that's a real thing. You don't want to share that you're not successful, but you're trying something, because if you don't succeed, then it's embarrassing. Right? But that's part of the job, right? Is the self-promotion. Right? And by the way, the trying story is also a really interesting one. That a lot of people will be interested to know how it's going. Yet most real estate agents cover that up. All right, tactic number 1. Here's the stuff you guys came for, right? And that was just a setup. And we're, 40 minutes into this one, so we'll have to race through the actual content. Tactic number 1, have you ever considered owning your own home someday? That's the line on the top. Have you ever considered owning your own home someday?
Right there, question in there.
I want you to write that statement down because that's a phrase I want you to remember. And the goal being building future clients from today's leads. If you want your second year to be just as difficult as your first year, then don't take this action. Okay, but if you want your second year to be substantially better than your first year, this is a tactic that you would want to do. So let's say you are just doing this open listing rental thing. You're focused on posting OPs because as of June, those are the only listings you can post. I would advise you guys all to look through the listings email and find every luxury building with OPs and blast them all over. Because nobody's ever going to want to go around you. You just represent the listing, you represent the renter client, the building pays you. That's easy, right? New York City is a very expensive city to live in. So let's say you take your client Chuck out. He's got a $6,000 budget. It's Chuck and his wife. $6,000 budget is like not that high of a budget. Right now, I think the average rent for a 1-bedroom is what, like $4,900 in Manhattan? Okay, so maybe Chuck is looking for, Chuck, his wife, and their new kid need a 2-bedroom apartment. All right, $6,000 is a pretty reasonable budget. Actually, you might not even be finding a luxury apartment in that price range. Now, we have an empty seat over here. Here's where this tactic needs a little bit of work on your part, and I believe you have a QR code. You don't need to scan it right now, but the QR code will lead you to a mortgage calculator. I want you guys to bookmark or favorite the mortgage calculator, because every client you take out that doesn't have like a $2,100 budget, you're going to type their monthly budget into the calculator to see how much they can afford for a mortgage. Basically, how much purchase power do they have? So, you're out with Chuck. You got some time, you're walking from one building to the next. Now, in our closing training, I teach you the importance of time spent with clients. Right? That's why if you can get your clients to meet you in the office first, and then you travel to the listing together, that's a lot of time you can spend together and build rapport. If your client can't come to the office, you do a consultation first to build that relationship, to build some rapport, and then you go and meet them. If you just meet somebody at the building and you go and show them the apartment, you have very little time to build a connection with them. So even if you are meeting on site, meet them a couple blocks away. So you have some time together to walk there, right? At a more popular corner or something than just in front of the building. You're gonna find some time to slip in, hey Chuck, have you ever considered owning a home someday? You can use whatever tone you want, maybe not exactly the one I gave you there. And then you're going to add, because you did your homework, you know, with $6,000 a month, that's 50 grand a year. Well, no, it's not. So it's 72 grand a year. That's 72 grand a year. You know, if you bought a place, you know, in 2 years you'd be contributing $140,000 in equity, more or less. Because you're going to add more or less, because the first couple of years is mostly interest. But it's the theory and the thought, putting it in their mind. 2 years, you'd have 140 grand in bankable equity. So even if you lived here for 2 or 3 years, that's a lot of money saved. Just an idea, you know, I was thinking about it when I walk over here. But you're opening that conversation to get this guy's head around the idea of potentially buying, right? So you could even add, hey, I know it's a little early, you're not really ready to buy, but you know, if you wanted this weekend, I'd be happy to take you to some open houses. Like I'm always out on the weekends looking at apartments. I'd love to show you some places. And by the way, you would be surprised, I've processed thousands and thousands and thousands of rental applications. You will be surprised by the number of dollars and the number of zeros on people's bank statements, investment accounts, retirement funds, savings accounts, checking accounts, okay, for down payment. You will be surprised, right? And if they don't have the money, like maybe there are some younger people,
Bless you.
and maybe they're going to Columbia or NYU, chances are they're coming from a wealthy family that can help them with this down payment. A lot of the time, it's the parents paying the rent anyways. And the parents knew that they could buy an asset. Might not be a bad idea. So, use a mortgage calculator before you go out with any reasonably budgeted client and know what their purchase power is. And use the phrase,
Have you ever considered owning your own home someday?
all right, just get it out once. 'Cause it'll help you in the future, all right? So, and, you know, and if you do go out and you show this person some open houses just for the hell of it, what was some of the advice I gave you earlier? Go see places with your own eyes. Okay, so double whammy. Now here's that calculator. All right. For sale by owner, FSBO. That's his tactic number 2. Coincidentally, the next page. So I have been teaching this tactic for many years. The agents that do it and stick with it find success. However, this is push-up theory, okay? If you go and you rip your chest apart today doing 300 push-ups and you never do another push-up, how's your chest gonna look in 3 months? How's it gonna look tomorrow? Probably the same, okay? If you do 2 push-ups today, 2 push-ups 2 days from now, 2 push-ups sometime next week, how's your chest gonna look? No different, no different, okay? It's something that you have to do with consistency and in volume. We send a for sale by owner list every week. You guys should be calling them. Now, obviously, it's a lot in the beginning. There's going to be a lot of people to call. But once you get most of them, each weekly list doesn't have 40 or 50 more. It's usually half a dozen to a dozen new listings. So it's not as burdensome. All right. For sale by owner. Okay, I want you to write this number down to your closest estimate. How many people do you know who own real estate in New York City? If it's 0, fucking write 0. Okay? If it's 2, write 2. I have to play some musical chairs here. Do you think it would be beneficial to meet people who own property? Yes. Circle yes. The answer is yes. If you don't think it's beneficial, that's the wrong answer. The answer is yes. So here's how you're going to do it. Every Saturday morning we send out that list. You're going to check out that PDF. Right now we're sending out a list for Manhattan and Brooklyn. You're going to crack into this market by meeting owners. Most people see the for sale by owner list and they think they need to call these people to get the listings. That's going to be tough as a new agent with very limited experience. Somebody asks you, how many transactions have you done in this neighborhood? And your answer is 0. Or somebody asks you, how long have you been doing this? And you're like, well, like 3.5 weeks, right? That's tough. But your goal here from the beginning was not to get listings. It was to meet people who own real estate. So, everything good down there?
I was just, the young lady left early on in the chair, so I quickly was there. She gave up, she did not be.
Well, she's an intern. It's all right. She was the first one to volunteer. She didn't want to be. So, I'm going to give you guys a script. It goes like this. Hi, is this Jack, the owner of 123 Broadway, 23F? If If you don't want to write this down, you can.
Sorry,
we have
just
to
run
write
into
it.
a text.
Hi, this is Jack, the owner of 123 Broadway. Hi, this is Thomas with the Julia Real Estate. I'm sure you're getting 60. Sorry, I'm going to say this fast. We can revisit it slowly. I'm sure you're getting 60 agents calling you every day to pitch to list with you. See, I work a lot in your neighborhood, and I try to see every listing that hits the market. I was just wondering if you might be having an open house. I'm not trying to pitch you. I fully respect the fact that you're selling on your own. Just wanted to see if it might be there might be some good time I could drop by just to see the place. Would that be all right? Okay. So a couple of key phrases. Obviously, you want to make sure you're talking to the owner, the correct person. You're going to use the phrase, I fully respect, I write this down, I fully respect that you're selling your home on your own. I work a lot in this neighborhood. And I try to see every listing that hits the market. I know this is a lot, but this is good stuff.
I try to see listing.
I try to see every listing that hits the market. Implying that yours is no different. I was wondering if you might be having an open house, or there might be a good time just for me to pop by. Again, I'm not trying to pitch you, and I respect the fact that you're selling on your own. I try to see every listing that hits the market. Just wondering if you might be having an open house, or there's some time you're free this week to come by and see the place. Again, I'm not trying to pitch you. I fully respect that you're selling on your own. Now there's 3 responses you're going to get. Yes, no, and why, or huh, or explain that again. Okay? Now, if it's yes, proceed. If it's no, stop. If it's some clarification statement, you just repeat what you just said, which coincidentally are hopefully the words that you just wrote down. So if they say yes, you are going to go. So here's what the list looks like, by the way. It's called Broker's Must, and it's in the listings email. Make sure that you guys know how to log into our listings email. When you go, you're going to bring a folder with you. So you guys come all the time asking me for folders, but I know all of you guys are like 7th graders, so just cram things into a backpack, so I don't let you have the folders. The folders are for listing presentations and for this tactic. Okay? When you go, you're going to bring a handful of things with you. You're going to bring a CMA report. This is how you make a CMA report. Go to your agent account, it's pretty easy. Click comparables, and you run a report. I'm not teaching you how to do that today, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You will also have an About Me page. So write CMA report, write down About Me page, which, by the way, there are templates for these things in the drive. The About Me page is just your bio, your contact information, and your headshot. And if you don't have a very good bio, then we have like a company mission statement or something that you can just drop on the top of this. Most people aren't reading these things, by the way. You need to understand that like literally 85% of people are just gonna gloss over this. People don't read things. I give you guys a hard time all the time when I watch you write 4 and 5 paragraph emails to people. I'm like, no, dude, no one is reading that. About Me page, CMA report, testimonials. You just have to be asking people for good reviews. If you don't have a dozen or so good reviews or testimonials yet, you're not out of luck. Just go to Yelp or go to our Google profile and find the reviews that mention the brokerage only and use those. Right? Or I've taken portions of reviews. Sometimes people write like 1, 2, 3 paragraph reviews. You don't have to put that whole thing in there. You can just say, Sally R. The Julio was great. Helped me find a place super fast. And even though it was part of a 4 paragraph thing, That's good enough for these purposes, okay? You're also going to add a for sale by owner tip sheet. We're
This
gonna
is
talk.
in your, this is all in your.
It's all on the drive, on the drive. You can customize it. I couldn't find, I forgot that I had made an ebook for sale by owners, so I just had ChatGPT write me another one. So we have a couple of them, but like making this stuff is not very hard, right? You're going to go with your well-equipped thick folder, okay? Now, what you don't understand maybe is that a lot of agents are showing up trying to pitch this person, and they're giving them their pitch and their listing agreement. So when you meet this owner, you're gonna obviously nice, good eye contact, handshake, introduction. We work on how to introduce ourselves. And you're gonna say, hey, I know everybody's giving you a folder with some type of pitch in it. I just wanna let you know, I've got a for sale by owner tip sheet in here, just something you can gloss over. But also, and most agents aren't gonna give this to you because it's like their secret tools, a CMA report, which is a list of everything else in your neighborhood that's on the market, everything else that's in contract, and everything that's closed. Just so you know what you're competing against. Might be good for you to have. Boom. Okay. Now, most people aren't going to read this stuff, but it is an anchor of your goodwill, right? And even if they've got a pile of other folders, chances are yours is going to sit on that pile like this. Why? Because yours is a little bit different, okay? Which just means it stands out. Now, teach you guys some tips and tricks here. When you go there, you want to be conversational. What's our goal here? To get the listing?
No, to meet people.
To meet people, to build a relationship, okay? Might be a little awkward at first because this is the first time you're meeting somebody. But you're going to ask them to show you around a little bit, and you're going to make conversation. What are you going to talk about? You can talk about anything. If they have an animal and you like touching other people's animals, go touch their animal, okay? If they have artwork, ask them about the artwork, okay? Literally, people's homes are a museum of them, and people love talking about themselves. You could ask them about their fucking coffee table, okay? Everything has a story. This fucking table, do you know how difficult it was? This table is huge. It's 3 times the length of my truck bed. Can you envision me getting this table into this office? That's a whole story in itself, which now affords us discounted copy paper. Okay, so there's a lot to that story, okay? You ask somebody just questions about their house, they will talk to you and open up. And what did I mention briefly earlier that we covered in last week's training? People who talk to you more start liking you more. There's a lot of psychology behind how that works. But the more you can get somebody to open up, the more you're going to learn about them and the more they're going to like you, okay? Again, we're not asking for the listing. It's about meeting somebody. What you're going to do after you leave, don't flip the page, write this down. What you're going to do after you leave, and you'll have already purchased a pack of thank you cards because you took this meeting this morning. You can just go to Staples or CVS or even like the FedEx store or something, which is there, and get a cheap pack of thank you cards. And you're going to write them a very brief thank you card. Thank you for having me in your home last week or Tuesday. Wishing you the best of luck on your sale. And then you can ask them, bring up something that you guys talked about. All right, so good luck with your move to Colorado, or something like that. All right? But 3 lines, very easy. You're gonna mail that same day. And then roughly 7 to 9 days later, about a week later, you're going to call them. Hey Chuck, you sent your note the other week, I don't know if you got it, but I just want to see how it's going with the sale. How's everything? Have you had a lot of luck? The goal is to continue the conversation, right? Just like you would if you were trying to make new friends. Has anybody ever moved to a new city and had to make new friends? It's fucking weird. Right? It's like dating in a weird way. Right? It's awkward. This is what you're doing. You're meeting somebody new. You're making them your friend. Make sense? I would then add them on LinkedIn if you have not already. And if you feel that you guys were really meant to be friends, maybe add them on Facebook or Instagram if you can find them. If they don't add you back, who the fuck cares? Okay? If they do, you're one step closer to having a new friend. So when I ask you this question next time, you can put a number that is at least one digit higher than today's number. That's the goal. Stay in touch. Okay? Hey John, you know anybody else in the building who might be selling? Which, by the way, who lives in a rental building? Okay, your next door neighbor. Are they an owner or a renter? Okay. If you own a condo or co-op, who's your next door neighbor? Probably an owner, right? So your chances of meeting somebody who owns a property, who knows other people who own property, is pretty high. Okay, and I'm not talking for the discounted chance that maybe the next door neighbor is a condo owner who renting out their unit, all right? Give me a break there. But chances are, the goal is to meet people who have connections. This is a networking and relationship-based business. No, here we go. CMA report. This is the About Me page. There's a template online.
Oh, business cards as well.
Oh, yeah, and there's a little, because of course I'm sure you all have business cards and didn't need Thomas to remind me to tell you guys. Of course, there's a little slot here for your business card. Couldn't hurt to pop it in there. I know you already all have business cards. For rent by owner. For rent by owner, it's not just about getting rental listings, although there will be a pitch here. For sale by owner is also about meeting, for rent by owner is also about meeting, the answer is in owners, thank you. You're also meeting owners. People who have rental property own that property. So the goal here is going to be to get the listing. So we talked earlier about saved searches for clients. This is going to be a saved search that you build on StreetEasy and Craigslist. Yeah, Craigslist. Who uses that anymore? Well, guess what? If you own rental property in New York City, you're more likely to be 60 years old and upwards than 23 and younger. Okay? Which means you're old school. Which means you probably still use Craigslist. Okay? Because that's what you've been using every 3 years when you have a vacancy. Again, push-up theory, which means you need to be doing this regularly, which is the beauty of these saved searches. Every time a new listing pops up that fits the criteria, you will get an email. That's cool. So you go to Craigslist. In Manhattan, you can select different neighborhoods. So I would set up a saved search for like 110th Street up, which means you're checking multiple boxes. You're checking East Harlem, West Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood. And I would save that search as Uptown Manhattan. And then I'd probably do Upper East Side and Upper West Side and save that search as Upper West Side / Upper East Side by owner. Then I'd do another one for all of Midtown, and then I'd probably do 14th Street and lower and save that search as downtown. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 saved searches. Okay? And the search is going to be just for one word. So in that search field, you're just going to type the word owner. And that way, if that word exists in any of the listings, they will populate your results. And every time there's a new one, you'll get an email. On StreetEasy, you just check a box, okay? But part of the pitch is how you can help this person get their place rented faster, to a better tenant, and for more money. Now, who could probably use more help promoting their listing? The person who's listing on Craigslist or the person who's listing on StreetEasy? Craigslist. Correct. But you're going to do both saved searches, all right? Because you're just going to be exercising here. So the more you do, the better. I will give you the script. Hi, this is Justin with DeJulia Real Estate. Is this the owner of 125 Broadway, Unit 7? To which they're most likely going to say yes. Or they're going to say, what's this about? Because they're the only calls they get are people, either spam calls or trying to pitch them, right? Or desperate renters. You say, oh, I have a few questions. So you just start asking them questions, right? So you got to segue very quickly into asking them questions about the property, which they will answer. So you ask them when it's available for, how's their traffic been, have they had a lot of people coming to see it? What are their requirements? So the goal is to get the conversation going. So if you start asking these questions right off the rip, they're going to answer them. Then you mention you're interested in coming by to see it. I work a lot in the neighborhood. I try to see all the listings that are on the market. I'd love to come by, see if it might work for some of my clients. And they're probably going to say, oh, do you have a client? You say, I have lots of clients, but like I said, I try to see everything that's on the market. And I'd love to help you get this rented. You guys have a QR code here. So the first time I gave this training on my cab ride in, I was watching some Instagram stories, and there was a girl who had just, because she wasn't afraid to put herself out there, she was recording herself making these phone calls. And it was a near perfect phone call. So that's the QR code. You can watch Angel make this call. It's pretty cool, very well done. Okay. A bonus thing here is that while you might be trying to get this listing and help that person get this rented out, property owners may, at some point in time, be interested in acquiring more property. So you'll ask them, oh, are you looking to buy anything else? And also property owners at some point in time may be looking to sell their property. Right? Especially if they own property for a while, they're getting sick of these crazy laws. Now you can't even check eviction history. That's pretty wild. You can't check criminal history in most cases. So you want to bring that up. Oh, are you looking to acquire any more property? The old pitch used to include that you would be no fee to them, an incoming renter would pay your fee. You can't use that. But if you're looking to add an element of sales to this as to how you could help them, you could try mentioning, you can try to get them a higher rent, which is what is happening in most cases, which is why the rents that the Fair Act has led to, I think, a 15% increase in rent, the highest rent increase in all of New York City history. Okay, so a lot of owners might be underpricing their listing. And you can also add, you'd like to help them get it rented in fewer days. To help you get it rented faster. I mentioned this earlier. Rented faster to a higher quality tenant for a higher rent. I might use that phrase. Rented faster, higher quality tenant for a higher rent. That's effectively your sales pitch. I'd love to list this. I think I could probably bring you a higher paying tenant. Probably, the more I promote this listing, the wider reach it has. The wider reach means the probability of a higher quality tenant.
So just a really quick question. So, with this new law for landlords having to pay, hypothetically, landlord doesn't want to pay, but they want to give the listing. Can you just advertise it for workers do?
Yeah, that's what the law made illegal, specifically that. If they have multiple units in the building, you could advertise one and say, hey, if I rent this one, you pay me a fee. If I rent any of the other ones, you wouldn't pay me. If there's multiple listings in the building, so it would have to be a more sizable, medium, or large size landlord. But that would be perfectly legal as long as there was one listing that they would pay you for. And then everybody who comes in says, well, the landlord has hired me to rent this one, but if you were to rent these other ones, you would have to be hiring me to represent you. The landlord has explicitly, and you have to make sure the landlord said, they need to send you an email saying they don't want you, they don't want to hire you, and they don't want to pay you for the other ones. If you were to bring them a tenant, that's fine. Okay. But not having a real listing that's paying you an OP, but luring people in and trying to flip them to the other one is bait and switch. You can't do that. And you would want, in case somebody ever did challenge you, something in writing saying that they don't want you to represent the other listings for them. Okay, next up is calling guarantors. So I mentioned earlier about you being surprised the number that are in people's bank accounts. Oftentimes, these come from the guarantors. Damn, you give me kids a really low budget, you can afford a hell of a lot more. A lot of times you see guarantors that have millions and millions of dollars. I've had some very high worth individuals come through my office. Guarantors are really the money. So your goal is going to be to reach out to the guarantors roughly a month or so after you close the deal to check in with them. Hey, Mr. Guarantor, just want to check how things are going with the apartment. I appreciate you helping Jill and her roommates out. Just wanted to see any feedback, if there's anything I can do for you. To which they're going to ask you something like, oh, well, they've seen a lot of rats and cockroaches. You're going to say, fuck, I wish I didn't call. Or they're going to say, no, everything's good. And then you're going, and obviously if there is something negative, you say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I never heard this before in the building. Let me get a good contact for you at the building and help get this resolved, which of course you'd be glad to do. But you will also want to drop in what you did with the first client when you said, have you ever considered owning a home someday? You could add something like, by the way, at $5,000 a month, these guys are spending about 60 grand a year in rent. I don't know how long they're planning to be in the city, but if they were to buy something and be paying about 5 grand a month, you'd be accumulating that equity. Just a thought, but I don't know what their plans are. Right, you're going to drop that into the conversation. They might say, oh yeah, that's a good point. What would a down payment? And now you've started that conversation. But guys, this is the luck is resolute design. If you don't do this shit, it's not going to happen. Okay, it's like a silly little one-liner you add in your follow-up call, which by the way, you should fucking already be doing, following up with your clients. No one does this stuff. Legitimately, no one does this stuff. Very select few number of agents, which is why 80+% of people drop out of this business. The remaining 17% who stick in this business aren't wildly successful, right? Like 100th of those agents are actually making 100 grand plus. It's an easy job. Is anything I've told you so far like complex?
Not complex, but some things like with the Fair Act, trying to make sure you actually understand that so you're in
Well, then you come and you ask me, right? You weren't here when we and I came in sweating, going, the Fair Act is going to ruin the business, which I didn't say, and it hasn't. But I gave everybody kind of a one over as to how it was going to affect business, But anytime you're in question, you come to me, I'll help you out. So, guarantors, good source of potential business. Again, remember earlier I said, if you want year 2 to look a hell of a lot better than year 1, you start doing these things now. If you're going to wait until year 2 or wait until you're successful to start doing it, that's not how it fucking works. Okay? It's like being really fat and saying, you know what, I want to work out like twice a week for like 15 minutes, and then when I'm in shape, I'll go every day. But a lot of you guys are waiting to do these things. All right. Number 5, hiring managers and HR. So this is a great opportunity for you guys to experiment a little bit with ChatGPT, which if you're not experimenting with it, like, guys, get with the times, okay? Like, this is my friend the other day said, are you using this ChatGPT thing? I'm like, that's not even a name, man. It's not EBT. Which if you know what that is, it's like, I would advise you to follow up with every lead at least 10 months later. Okay, hey, every lead, not client. Hey, you reached out to me last year when you were looking for a place. Just curious if you're planning to move or stick where you are. Let me know, I'd be happy to give you a hand this year. Right? I did this one year, and this is literally how my business started taking off at like month 10, because I already told you I made like less than 2 grand in the first 6 months. I had loads of leads, but down the line it started to help me out. And I just went through my email account and looked at every single email I sent and just followed up with these people. Sent them another email. But I sent one email by accident to somebody who had forwarded me like an employment letter for one of my clients. She said, "Oh, actually, you didn't help me with an apartment search. It was one of our employees. However, I am looking for an apartment this year. Can you help me?" That was pretty cool. But hiring managers, HR, a lot of companies have departments where they hire people who move to New York City. New York City has a high population because it has a lot of inbound people, not just immigrants on buses, okay, but people who are getting hired from some of the top companies in the United States who are headquartered or have offices in New York City. Let's see.
So you see 10 months later, not 3
Well,
months?
10 months later was an example that I gave you. What I'm telling you to do now is get some, and this is where you could use ChatGPT, get a list of medium and large and medium large companies, and even small companies. And this is something that you could do, by the way, at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Just do all this work. You just get a bunch of emails to schedule, send out at 8:15 in the morning, okay? You wouldn't want to send somebody in a corporation an email at 1 a.m., okay? So you set the email schedule for the following morning. But you can use ChatGPT to source you companies, and now with ChatGPT's new agent mode, is anybody familiar with the agent mode on ChatGPT?
Yeah.
It fucking does it for you. It opens up its own web browser, and you can tell. I had it make a whole advertising campaign for the Dominican Republic properties, which is doing really well. We're getting tons of leads for this stuff. So I had it design the photo and the text and the copy. I had it, what's the word I'm looking for? Target the audience. So choose an audience. And I explained how important the audience was and gave some examples and said, do your research. And it just built a fucking ad. That was it. I literally did less than 3 minutes worth of input, and then sat and worked there for 25 minutes. It asked me a couple of questions. I guess Facebook and one of the other websites had like a, show me you're not a robot. And ChatGPT was like, yo, can you? I can do it, but and then it just did it. And then I woke up the next day and looked at it, and it was already running. It needed a couple of tune-ups. I went back in with ChatGPT and it did it. But you can have ChatGPT identify these companies, identify the contact information, and do what we call skip tracing, which is basically just like searching around the internet, finding all the tough to find information. I call skip tracing.
Mortgage companies do that when you're trying to find.
Yeah, we will get there too. Yeah, I call skip tracing psycho ex-girlfriend cyber stalking.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, serious though.
Is that the app, ChatGPT?
That's it. Yeah. All right. So hiring managers, and HR, but finding medium-sized companies in New York City, reaching out to their hiring, their HR. Some of them may have a relocation department that are not actual real estate agents. So you can reach out to these people and offer yourself as a resource. Which, by the way, is a great source of leads, right? You're building a lead source so that you don't have to go out every day, preview 15 apartments, sweat, come back and list them online. You're actually building a relationship with these people who are going to funnel you leads.
And those companies that are like recruiting people from out of town that are moving here will pay their commission.
Many times they will, yeah, because they're hiring you.
That's
It would be, and by the way, these companies like have loads of money. Like they're not finding people like $2,300 apartments. They're finding people like average rate rents. All right. Okay. Next up is commercial listings. So you guys walk around New York City every day. Tell me if you've passed a business or storefront that is closed this morning. Probably yes. Okay. The goal is to start getting commercial listings. So when you see a business that is closed or a storefront that looks like the place is just empty, you're going to take a picture of it. You're going to make any notes, and you're going to write down the address. You're going to email it to yourself. The subject of the email probably should be the address, and then your note should be in the body with your picture of the space. And then you're going to come back to the office. You're going to do some skip tracing, which, by the way, ChatGPT is also very good at this. And you're going to find the owner or property manager's contact information.
They usually have a sign up there and it's all Alaya. He has
All
like
right,
all
so here you go.
versions
Look.
listed.
So I'll give you a couple examples. If they have a sign up, skip it. This contact information is your competition. If you call this guy, whatever the names are, it's too blurry, Jeffrey something, say, Jeffrey, can I list the property? He's going to say, nah, bro, it's my listing. Like, that's how I make money. But you just want me to give it to you? Yeah, you can bring me someone. This place, on the other hand, we don't know what's going on with it. It's a cleaners, it's closed. So either maybe they recently closed, maybe somebody's remodeling. Right? Sometimes they're doing work, they don't really see what's going on inside. A lot of times when you see paper like this up, it's because somebody has just rented it out and they're now doing work. Or maybe the landlord wanted to turn the previous business, the cleaner's place, which probably had a laundromat and stuff, they just wanted to get everything out and make it a white box, which is an actual commercial term that we've talked about in the commercial training. But you don't know what's going on with it. It could just be Pepe's Pizza that's closed at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Anybody know any great pizzerias that are closed at lunchtime? I don't. So if Pepe's Pizza is closed, it's probably out of business. Okay? You're going to find the landlord, the owner, the property manager's contact information. You can use Property Shark. Write down this, guys, write it down. Property Shark, the property report, Open Igloo, Acris, 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 or ChatGPT. Try to find the other information.
I'm missing one. Property Shark, Open Igloo, Acris, and
The property report, which I used those for a little while, but I think Property Shark is a better option for you. Okay.
Are these all free?
No. Acris is the only free one, actually.
Okay.
How do you spell Acris?
ACRIS.
Okay.
That's where the Property Shark aggregates all the data from. Acris is like the city thing that has all the permits and things like that, which the permits oftentimes will have people's contact information on it, so they actually like scan and aggregate all that information right in one place. Whereas you having to go through Acris and look at 17 years worth of documents is a little harder, but it's free. Okay, but ChatGPT will just do it for you too. Now the commercial pitch is pretty easy. A lot of these guys doing this don't do shit. They put the sign up. Okay? They don't even usually advertise with pictures. They've got, so who said that it's usually the same people you see all the time? Yeah, they're not doing shit for any of these. So when you call these guys, you can say, yeah, I see other commercial listings sitting on the market for years. I started a residential, now I'm working on commercial, but the way that we rent places faster is we take what we did doing residential, where we take high quality photos, we take videos, we can even do a 3D virtual walkthrough, and we actively promote your property. We don't just list it on CoStar, we list it everywhere. We get involved in, and we talk about the Facebook stuff. And we have a whole meeting where we talk about commercial listings, but there's a lot of things you can be doing outside of not taking pictures and putting it on CoStar, which is what your competition in the commercial market is doing. CoStar is a commercial database. Yeah, commercial database. Like actively reaching out to businesses. If you have a spot that would be good for a pizzeria, you could go and message the owners of a whole bunch of pizzerias across New York City and say, hey, we have this location at West Side, want to put it on your radar in case you're considering an upcoming new location. All right, that's actively working for somebody rather than just listing it. Which, by the way, this guy is not messaging other types of business that would be good for this space.
But if we do that, Justin, we contact someone and say, this commercial space is available and it might be good for the business that you're already in. And they say, yeah, I like it. And how are you supposed to get any type of pay for that because it's his listing? I mean,
no, you're not contacting this guy. You see this place, skip it. You see anything else, a closed business, something that's empty, those are the ones you're going to contact. You don't.
Most likely is already booked for them.
Well, if somebody's got their sign on the window, it's their listing. Okay. Sometimes they expire, but there are enough closed businesses on any block in any borough right now that you should be all day long taking pictures of places and just, again, push-up theory. Like it should be, if you're not doing 5 or 6 of these a day, which nobody is, by the way, then like you're not really being a real estate agent. Right? It's a one tactic that's super easy to do. And you know, the fact that you're not 100 years old, not doing shit, and putting your sticker on the window means you're probably better than the majority of the people that are in this market.
Atlas also lets you search by block and lot number, so you can find out their public, anything that's like public through the city, and we'll also show you if there's any liens on the property or any issues with like title clearance or anything like that. If it's
There's a lot of information
residential
packed
cell
into
property.
Agris. It's a city
Out
website.
there.
Number 7, growing businesses. So you're going to be campaigning for existing businesses who may not have a New York City location or may have a New York City location and are expanding. You could totally use ChatGPT to create a list of 20 or 50 or 100 potential businesses that don't have, like this is your prompt. Give me a list of 25 businesses that don't currently have a New York City presence, don't have a New York City office, don't have a New York City retail location, who might be interested in opening a New York City location. It might ask you some clarifying questions, but that's your basic prompt, okay? Or you could say, hey, what businesses have reported a decrease in revenue year over year who might be looking for a smaller office? Right? Give me 50 of those. And how are you going to reach out to these businesses? Well, LinkedIn is a good option. Calling is going to be tough, okay? Hey, do you want to move your office? That might be tough. But LinkedIn would be a good option. Or if you have a connection with a CEO or somebody who's high up in that company, ask them for the introduction. Might not be a bad idea.
Can I not just walk up to their office?
You could, but like finding a decision maker from walking in the office. Not every office is like this, where the door faces the owner's office.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Any questions about how you would get a list of these places? I mean, I used to do this on Google. Like, you know, you get a list of the top growing companies in New York City. Oh, the last thing I was going to add, this is why I paused for a moment, was Instagram. If you message these companies on Instagram, you actually have a really high response rate. Not because the CEO or the decision maker is using Instagram, but because they have somebody managing their social media who has no idea what to do with your request, like to shut it down or just make it disappear or answer you. So they actually bring that message to the decision maker. So we actually get a decent response rate through Instagram. The importance of asking, so this is just kind of an 8th potential tactic, is asking your leads and your clients to give you guys good reviews. Right? You guys need to make sure that you're doing that. I mentioned it briefly. What did you write?
Ask.
Okay.
That's
but-
bonus tactic
but-
1.
No,
I
well,
guess.
let's see what we have here. So A, and you shall are, to
Ask
quote
and
the
you shall
Bible,
receive.
ask and you shall receive. Okay? You need to be asking for reviews and testimonials. You guys oftentimes will have a client that you don't close who says, you know what, I ended up renting something else, but you were great. In which your response should be, you know what, I appreciate that. If you consider leaving a good review or a positive statement, here's my Google or Yelp or whatever. Okay? Which, by the way, this is my way of segueing into, if you felt like you learned something, we're not done. I've got a whole bonus page and more tips if you guys want to stick around, because we're now after 12. This is my way of segueing into asking you guys to scan the QR code and leave a good review for our agent training program.
What if you already did it?
And don't do it again. But a lot of you guys have not. So don't pick up your phones, clearly. You guys learned nothing this morning. I apologize for wasting your time.
I'm pretty sure I've done this, but let's do it again.
So I always tell you guys we're 10:30 to 12:30. I don't have a challenge for you guys this afternoon, but I do have some bonus tips on top of our regularly scheduled programming. Let's see. All right, bonus 1 through 6. Bonus number 1. You guys have this in your thing? Okay, barter listings from service professionals. Barter. Okay, so say you're walking through the Bronx or Queens or Brooklyn, you see somebody out there doing some landscaping. Remember, this is a networking business. Every person you meet is a potential lead.
What's the first one?
You're gonna walk around with your business cards. When you see people that look like there may be an opportunity for you, you're gonna hand it out. Hey, you guys are doing great work here. By the way, here's my card on real estate agents. If you happen to know anybody who's looking to sell their home, here's my information. Okay? What are you gonna do? Throw it away? Right? But a lot of people who are getting ready to sell their home do what? Landscaping or painting. Right? For somebody who needs a roof, might decide they're sick of owning a home. Supers does a very fast to discount the opportunity you get from supers. This is still bonus number 1, by the way.
Oh.
Okay. And I consider a super effectively a service professional. Supers tend to know about listings coming up before the management company even does. So supers are good people to get in contact with, offer referral fees when you legally can.
Can you give them
I mean,
referral fees?
you look up the laws,
Yeah.
but you can give referral fees and gifts up to a certain value. You give actual commission dollars and referral based on the transaction if somebody's licensed. So
If they're licensed.
If they're licensed, but there's other gifts and things you can give to people. So,
Good on that.
all right.
Yeah.
Next up is probate. Probate means somebody died. They're reviewing the will. Hey Chuck, I heard somebody that you love died. You want me to help sell their home? Okay, is effectively the message. You will do so with tact. Okay, if you want some scripts, Google probate lead scripts. Okay, again, these are bonus. We're not going into too much depth on
You
these.
just gotta mention that you wanna make money off of there.
Yeah, I heard somebody died, and I think it would be very advantageous for me. Okay. Now you could use ChatGPT to get you a list. Okay, remember ChatGPT is a tool. Okay. Bonus number 3. Social media. Don't just list apartments on Instagram and TikTok. All right? I think unless you're advertising just really sick luxury apartments, nobody wants to see like your $3,500 junior 1-bedroom alcove studio in Maria Hill. Like that's very boring. Okay. If you're posting on there, it has to be engaging. But Instagram and Facebook always give you guys the option to boost your posts. That's bullshit. Don't do it. Okay, it's wasted money because they're just going to see who's interested in it, and it's going to display it all over the country. It may even display it internationally. You have no control over the targeting. However, if you sign up for Facebook, I think it's called Meta Ads Manager. Meta Ads Manager. You can build the post inside of Ads Manager. It's a lot of things you can do in Ads Manager, so there's like a lot there when you look. But I would just YouTube it to figure out how to do it. Okay, that's what I did to learn it. And guess what? The last time I did it, the other weekend, I was drunk and ChatGPT did it for me. Okay. I literally just went into agent mode on ChatGPT, told it what I wanted to, and then just hung out and did some other stuff and drank some scotch. Okay, and the ad is like running really, really well. Every day I wake up with more leads. So use the agent mode to build the targeting for what your target audience is. With housing, it's a little more difficult if you're advertising strictly housing, because of like protected classes. I don't even think you can target income or age. things like that. But ChatGPT is more knowledgeable than the expert in any field. So it will be able to create the most and best targeted list for you that will advertise on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. So bonus number 3 is don't just post on these websites and boost. Use the ads manager.
So boost, I'm sorry, boost and meta ads are 2 different.
Well, when you post something on Facebook, it'll say, do you want to boost this? Or boosting this could get you more results.
Right,
But it costs you money.
right,
So what I would say is if you're considering that,
yeah.
then you open up Ads Manager, watch a 3-minute YouTube video on how to navigate Ads Manager and build it yourself and try, or open ChatGPT, connect it to your Facebook account, go to the agent mode and say, build me an ad on Facebook for this and my target audience is roughly this, but I'm gonna need you to define the target audience using your expert skills. And it will. Very cool. Very cool.
Did Ejimo come out with 5? Is that
Came
right?
out before 5.
Oh, it was before 5.
But you only get 40 tasks a month if you're paying for it. I don't know how many you get for the free one, but paying is $20.
It's $20,
Yeah, it's like, there's one thing to pay for it would be ChatGPT instead
Yeah.
of like your little blue star on Instagram, which is kind of dorky. Number 4, track divorce filings and offer easy exit solutions. So track divorce filings and come up with a script to reach out to people filing for divorce. A lot of people get divorced, sell their home. And connect with divorce attorneys. Man, where can you get a list of divorce attorneys? Any ideas?
ChatGPT.
I heard your relationship is falling apart. I want to
Your
make money
relationship,
off
I think it'd be very advantageous opportunity for it. All right, let's see. Bonus 5, contact estate sale companies. So there are companies whose job are to go into somebody's house and when they're liquidating the majority of their assets, which oftentimes is actually after a death. Not always though. And they will go in and they put a little price tag on everything in the house and sell it. Why are they getting rid of all their furniture, their cups, their knives, their pillows? Because they want to live in an empty house? No, because they're selling their house. Okay? So connecting with estate sale companies would be very advantageous for you to get potential sales leads. And I will give you number 6. Last one. Airbnb. Not everybody who runs an Airbnb out of their apartment is running it out of a rented apartment. Some people have bought buildings to do this in. Some people have bought condos and co-ops to do it in. And the laws around Airbnb continue to get tighter and tighter. So some of these people who put a lot of money into this are fucked. What do you want to do if you have an asset that's not making you money? It's now a liability and you want to sell it. Getting a list of Airbnb owners could be tough. I don't know exactly how you do it, but I do know where I would go first. Correct. Okay, again, we got you with the attendance QR code. What do you have for homework? Well, mine doesn't have homework, so. The teacher fucked up. You guys get no homework tonight. By the way, the homework should just be do the shit I told you to do.
Yeah, that's what I was
If you really wanted homework, that's probably I would answer that.